The Schumann frequency. Fact or fiction? It's interesting. I mentioned the Schumann frequency in a comment in my community the other day, and somebody asked me to elaborate about the Schumann frequency. So I thought, all right, I'll do a little video. Just, I mean, I'm not a master of it, but I thought I'd do a little, just a quick little look up before I made a video for this guy to explain what the Schumann frequency was. And I was really surprised to see that the Schumann frequency and its interaction with humans is under conspiracy theory and pseudoscience. I was really surprised by that. That it doesn't make any sense. Like, the Schumann frequency bounces between Earth and the ionosphere at around 7.83 hertz, which is around the same sort of resonant frequency as our heart and alpha brainwave states, I believe, if I got that right. So to say that frequencies don't interfere with other frequencies is absurd. Like, of course a frequency moving through another frequency is going to interact with the other one. Look, just throw a bit of twig, ripples, throw another one, boom, the ripples overlap and they interfere with each other. So that's frequency, that's all it is, isn't it? So to say that if something that we're standing in, like I'm sitting on the Earth and the Earth's emitting, there's this Schumann frequency bouncing to or fro from Earth at 7.83 hertz. If that frequency starts to change, how can it not start to affect me if I'm sitting in it? And I'm vibrating at different frequencies. The brain resonates at different frequencies. That's why we sleep. That's why sometimes we're alert. That's why sometimes we're calm. That's why sometimes we're agitated, because the brain waves, the frequencies, start to fluctuate. So if the environment that we're in is fluctuating, the frequency is fluctuating, how would that not affect how we behave or how our cells generate and regenerate and stuff like that? How can it not? Really interesting. I'm genuinely surprised. I've literally just read it. I thought I'd just have a little look up on the Schumann frequency and just double check what I know. And what's happening in it. This is the bit I do get a bit confused about, and it didn't really say in the bit that I read. I read a couple of articles, but like it fluctuates because of different pressures, different intensities, different atmospheric things going on outside the atmosphere. So like magnetic fields from the sun, for example, or planetary movements out there in the solar system affects our Earth's electromagnetic field, and we are actually under more force at the minute. So I would assume under more pressure the frequency would go up because there's less space. So I'm assuming, but I could be wrong on this. I'm happy to admit that I'm wrong on this. I'm assuming that the frequency is actually rising. If the frequency is rising, we're going to become more agitated. People get angry. So there's been quite a lot of people recently saying that there's something quite not right. They feel good within themselves. You know, they're genuinely in a good place and everything's going well, but there's just something that's just niggling at the back, and they're a little bit short, they're a little bit snappy, they're just feeling a little bit off at the minute. I mean, I'm not saying it's just the Schumann frequency, but it does play a part. I just know it to be right. You know when you know, you know when you know. I just know it to be right. And there are lots of other different things, like the collective consciousness again. I think our brains give off frequencies, our hearts give off frequencies, our whole bodies give off frequencies, and all these frequencies interact with each other. They all resonate, they all bounce off each other, and like, you know, the rocks and trees and stuff give off frequencies. Like your Wi-Fi signals, your 5Gs and your 3Gs and your 4Gs and stuff like that, that's all giving off frequencies and signals. Like, so if you're in a built-up environment surrounded by buildings and Wi-Fi towers and frequencies and TVs and all of that stuff, you're going to feel different to what you would if you spent more of your time in nature. You are just going to feel different. You just are, because the frequencies are different, and it's just the way it is. So, I mean, I'm not saying that I'm a scientist and that I'm absolutely right, but it just logic dictates, doesn't it? If you get frequencies interfering with each other, you get interference patterns, for starters. I mean, it's just basic physics. So to say that frequencies on a grand scale don't affect frequencies on a small scale is just absurd. I mean, how stupid do they think people are? Like, it's just common sense that frequencies would disturb other frequencies, isn't it? It just is. So how it's a conspiracy theory and how it's pseudoscience is absolutely beyond me. But the Schumann frequency, if you're feeling a bit off, it could be something to think about. The atmospheric pressure, basically, you know, can be off, and it could put pressure on us. And like our hearts, I always talk about our hearts and heart coherence, and like breathing practice and heart coherence practices. That strengthens your electromagnetic field, okay? And like, you know, this 3 decades of study, over 3 decades of study just from one institute, the HeartMath Institute, to scientifically back this, that your heart and the earth resonate at the same frequency when your heart is in a coherent state. When it's out of balance, then other things in your body go out of sync as well. So that's when you start to get like illness, and you don't reproduce your cells quick enough, and you're more prone to injury, and a little more cloudy in the head and foggy and confused and all this kind of stuff. Like, there's loads of studies out there to show this to be true, to be the fact as it stands at the minute. And not just between human and human, but even human and fauna, like plants and animals and stuff like that. It goes beyond the human to human thing. It's just the frequency thing. Again, just coming back to the frequency. So if you are feeling a little bit out of balance, a little bit out of sorts, check in, breathe into your heart, slow down your heart rate, breathe into your heart space. Try and connect to a higher frequency emotions. So love, gratitude, appreciation, compassion and joy are the 5 big ones, if I remember correctly. Again, it's just off the top of my head, but feeling, not just thinking the words, but feeling into a situation or a person that you love, or an animal that you're grateful for, or a life event that you're happy for and you appreciate it. Something like that. Connect to that feeling while slowing down your breath. Optimally 5.5 in, 5.5 out. Okay, that's the optimal breathing, but slowing it down to a comfortable rhythm and state for you. Breathing into your heart space really just brings your heart into a coherent state, and just 3 minutes of that practice gives you a 6-hour boost, right? And that will help protect yourself and build resilience to any environmental fluctuations of frequency going on out there. And the more of us that do this, the stronger we connect to each other. Our heart's electromagnetic fields connect to each other. They connect to the underlying base electromagnetic field of the earth, and then that strengthens and resonates at a high frequency. Again, more magnets stacked together become more powerful. So if you are feeling angry, agitated, and you can't quite put your finger on it, maybe just give it a go for a month. Like, see how it feels, see what changes, see if you start to notice changing people around you, because you will affect other people around you. When you raise your frequency, we tend to lift up other people's, and we're more protective from being pulled down by other people's as well. So collectively, if we're all stressed and we're all frustrated and we're all uptight and we're all angry, we're going to draw that frequency down, yeah? Or just agitate it, maybe not down, because anger is quite a high frequency agitation. But like, it's just going to put everything out of whack. It's more agitated. It's not a coherent sine wave. It's more jagged and frustrated. So something to play around with. Did I answer the question, what is the Schumann frequency? Yeah, it bounces between the earth and the ionosphere. It's discharges from electricity, from lightning and stuff like that. And it's something to do with that. I don't know exactly. Again, I'm not a scientist. I don't know exactly what it is, but I know it's the frequency. It's called the heartbeat of the earth. And when we get external pressures, magnetic fields externally, it puts pressure on the Schumann frequency, which sends it up and down. Anyway, peace out, guys. Nice talking. Much love. See you soon. Channel, communities down below.